Representatives of 47 small indigenous peoples live in Russia. These are ethnic groups that number less than 50,000 people, and their number is decreasing every year. The reasons are forced assimilation, underfunding of national programs, and deportation of small peoples from the territories of their living. After the beginning of Russia's full-scale invasion of Ukraine, mobilization and large-scale losses of the Russian army became the most important factor in this process. After all, it is the representatives of indigenous peoples who are sent to the front in the first place. For example, according to the 2021 census, there were 2,730 Telengids in the country. In 2022, 26 people were drafted from Koshagach, one of the places where Telengids live. Of these, 24 are representatives of the small-numbered people.
We hoped that at least someone would return. The boys were still in Novosibirsk then, but no, they all ended up going off to war. They said that it was just a system failure, a mistake, but someone must be responsible for that mistake. There are very few of us left. In my opinion, the Telengids should not have been taken away at all, and here almost 90% of those mobilized are Telengids. Azar Tondoyev, president of the Kosh Agash, in a comment to Sibir Reali.
The standard of living in these republics of the Federation is much lower than in the central regions. The Kremlin is also taking advantage of this to send as many men from these regions as possible to Russia's war against Ukraine. According to official data, wages in the Russian north and far east are higher than the national average, but this is the average which doesn't represent the real situation. This number is obtained by summing up the colossal incomes of top officials and managers of energy and mining companies with the miserable salaries of ordinary workers.
If you are lucky enough, you either go work as a security guard in the alcohol market and get 40,000 rubles a month, or you're welcome to join the army of the Russian Federation. Overall, I think the question here is why these regions are in such bad situation. Because it seems to me that the Kremlin's policy is to bring these regions to poverty so that they can do whatever they want later on.
Moscow is systematically violating the rights of small ethnic groups. The Kremlin has banned the activities of organizations engaged in the protection of indigenous peoples. Objective monitoring of the situation is difficult. Representatives of international organizations, both environmental and human rights, are not allowed into the country. However, this does not prevent Russia from using representatives of the Federation's small peoples for propaganda.
At international meetings, for example at the UN in New York, indigenous representatives from around the world discuss the problems that their peoples face. The Russians, on the other hand, get a detailed briefing before every time they go to the podium from a foreign ministry representative who looks a lot like a Federal Security Service representative and talk about lifting sanctions. Dmitry Berezhkov, representative of the International Committee of Indigenous Peoples of Russia, in comment to Sibir Reali.
Representatives of small peoples of Russia united in the anti-imperialistic bloc of peoples. On July 21st and 22nd, the organization held its first congress in Lithuania. Their aim is to fight for the right to self-determination of all peoples and nations guaranteed by international agreements. The participants of the anti-imperialist bloc of peoples are sure that the victory of Ukraine and the complete disintegration of the Russian Federation will give a chance for the implementation of these tasks. Reported by Serhiy Kulas, Andriy Dmytrenko, UATV News.